Hello everybody, and welcome back to Certifact Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. We'll be giving you all the first appearance in your comic shops today. Now this week we got a pretty good lineup for you guys. I think we have 6 first appearances, 2 honorable mentions, so 8 titles in all to go through. There's definitely some books in there you guys should pick up for your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearance of the week, ending September 6, 2024. First up from Marvel Comics, Exceptional X-Men number 1. This features the first appearance of Bronze. This character was previewed in an excerpt of this issue in X-Men from the Ashes Sampler. Now the solicitation also states that this series will introduce 3 all-new mutants. The metallic and whip-wielding Bronze, the emotional stirring Axo, and the stealth-skilled fighter Melee. Now, like we always mention, it's usually worth picking up the first appearance of new characters in Marvel titles. And this here is a new title series for the X-Men franchise. And like we mentioned in previous videos, Marvel Disney have the cinematic rights to the X-Men and the Fantastic Four franchises again. So expect to see a lot of content for the small screen and big screen. That being said, this here also features the first appearance in this new character. And this here is also the premiere issue of this new title series. Now, like I mentioned in the solicitation, it does say that this series is going to introduce 3 new mutants. This particular issue, I guess, only has this 1 new mutant. But this here is a series that you definitely want to keep your eye on because they are going to introduce a few new mutants. And like I just said, now that Marvel Disney have the cinematic rights to this franchise again, expect to see some content for the small screen and big screen. And you really don't know where they're going to pull characters from the screen. So this one here, in our opinion, is definitely worth picking up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from Marvel Comics, The Spectacular Spider-Man number 7. This features the first appearance of Knave, described as a truly terrifying new addition to the Spider's Rogues Gallery. Now, we always recommend picking up the first appearance of new characters in these Spider-Man titles. Spider-Man, the most heavily collected and most popular franchise for Marvel Comics, so anytime they introduce a new character into that universe, these are books you definitely want to have in your collection. You definitely don't want to chase it down years later for a lot more money if these characters become big and popular with fans. So this one here is another one we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from Marvel Comics, Spider-Boy number 11. This features the first appearance of Spider-Girl not in costume. Now this Spider-Boy franchise, this has been very popular with fans and collectors. There's been a lot of first appearances and they're definitely sought after in the secondary market. This here issue features the first appearance of Spider-Girl not in costume. I believe issue number 12 is going to have the first appearance of Spider-Girl in costume. Don't quote me on that, though I'm not sure. But this one here does feature the first appearance of Spider-Girl not in costume. In our opinion, this one here is definitely worth picking up. It still takes place in the Spider-Man universe, and you still have the first appearance of a new character. Though they're not in costume, might not matter all that much in the future. So go ahead and grab this one here for your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Star Wars The Acolyte, Kelnacca number 1. This features the first appearance of Kelnacca. Now, we typically recommend picking up the first appearance of new characters in these Marvel published Star Wars titles. There's been a lot of these characters that have been introduced in the comic books over the past few years that have hit the small screen and big screen. So you don't want to miss out on these characters. If they do become popular, they hit the screen, you are going to have to race back to secondary market and pay a lot more for these. It's definitely better to pick these up at the cover price. That being said, though, this here is the first appearance of this character, Kelnacca, in the Acolyte story. Now, the Acolyte storyline, this has definitely been one of the least popular stories for fans and collectors. The fact that they're introducing this character into this particular storyline, keep that in mind if you're choosing to pick this one up. In our opinion, it's still worth picking up. For $3 or $4, it's definitely worth having the first appearance of a new character in a Star Wars title. They could bring this character into any of the other Star Wars storylines, not necessarily just the Acolyte. So you really don't know where they're going to place this character, if anywhere at all. So this one here is going to be a little bit more speculative, but like I said, you typically don't want to miss out on these first appearances of new characters in Star Wars titles. This one here is another one we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from Dark Horse, Star Wars High Republic Adventures Echoes of Fear number 1. This features the first appearance of Darth Ravi. Another one we do think you should pick up for your collection. This here is one of the Dark Horse published Star Wars titles. This is not one of the Marvel published Star Wars titles. But that being said, this is still the first appearance of Darth Ravi. You really don't know where any of these characters are going to end up. If these characters hit the screen, whether small screen or big screen, you're definitely going to wish you picked these up at the cover price. Just because this is Dark Horse and not Marvel, that's not a reason not to grab this one for your collection. In our opinion, this is definitely worth a pickup as well. Go ahead and grab this one. And lastly, from Archie Comics, Sabrina the Teenage Witch Annual Spectacular 2024. This features the first appearance of Mother Striga, the First Witch. Now, Archie comics aren't necessarily as highly collected and sought after as some of the other superhero titles, but there's still a huge fan base and huge collector base for Archie comics, and especially the Sabrina Witch title series. And the fact that this here features the first appearance of this new Mother Striga, the First Witch, if you're a collector of Archie comics, then this is one you definitely need to pick up and add to your collection. If you're not a collector of Archies and you just collect the superhero titles, this might be one you could skip on, but definitely keep these books in mind. Like I said, Archie comics aren't as heavily collected and sought after as some of the superhero titles, but there's still a huge fan base, huge collector base, so they're definitely worth a consideration. Grab this one here if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list and take a look at it later on. And now for the honorable mentions. From Boom Studios, Minor Arcana number 1. Teresa, the daughter of a small-town psychic fraud, returns home to care for her ailing mother, however begrudgingly. But when Teresa discovers there may be more to the magic than she originally believed, she'll find herself caught up in a town that desperately needs her help. Now this here is a new title series by Jeff Lemire. He is actually the writer and the artist for this series. Jeff Lemire being attached to this series is definitely a catalyst for this being picked up an option. Jeff Lemire rose to fame with the Black Hammer series. That series is still highly revered, highly collected. He is a New York Times best-selling writer and an award-winning artist. So, anytime there's a talent like that attached to a new title series, these are books you definitely want to consider. These are often the title series that are picked up an option. And, Boom Studios has had a lot of their titles picked up an option in the past. And like I said, the fact that this here is actually written and drawn by Jeff Lemire definitely gives us a catalyst. Great spec in our opinion. This is definitely one worth picking up for a spec bet. Go ahead and grab this for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list, but definitely keep an eye on this one. And finally from Scout Comics, Mitch number 1. Mitch mixes comedy, science fiction, and urban fantasy with character Mitch as the anthropomorphic lead, juxtaposed to a seemingly realistic world of the late 90s. It's a chunky Roger Rabbit with a bad temper meets Indiana Jones, set in a San Raimi-esque cityscape. It's a story about one freight guy on a quest to find his true origins, unintentionally stumbling into adventure, mystery, and a secret ongoing extraterrestrial conflict over Earth and its unsuspecting occupants. Now this here is the premiere issue of this new title series. That's why we put this on the list, because Scout Comics, a lot of the premiere issues of these series, a lot of them are undersold and undercollected when they come out, and they become huge in the secondary market as time goes on. And Scout Comics has had a lot of their titles picked up an option for small screen, big screen projects. I don't know if a lot of them actually made it to the screen, but just being option alone has definitely driven the price up on them. So you don't want to miss these titles when they come out, especially these premiere issues of these Scout titles. Like I said, these are often heavily collected later on. People typically miss out when they first hit the shelf. This here's a great spec in my opinion. Grab this here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list, but definitely keep an eye on this one. So there you have the 8 titles that we have for you guys this week. Definitely some books in there you guys should pick up for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. As always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.